Brennan Johnson scored, VAR said it was onside after the flag went up, and then in stoppage time at the end of the first half, City playing out from the back, a misplaced pass from Trafford, picked off. Richarlison's first effort saved by Trafford. Palhinha rammed in the rebound, and so at half-time at the Etihad, it is City 0, Spurs 2. Well, let's go back to the studio and we can get the thoughts of Steph Houghton and Michael Brown in the company of Cel Spellman.
Welcome back to Matchday Live. Alongside me, I've got Steph and I've got Michael Brown, and the score at the Etihad Stadium. First one of the season here as we welcome Tottenham Hotspur. It's Manchester City 0, Tottenham Hotspur 2. Not the result any of Manchester City fans wanted to see. Beginning, Steph, the overall performance, what have you made of it? It's not quite been at where I thought it was going to be anyway.
Yeah, I think we've been a little bit sloppy in some areas of the pitch. I think when we've had control of the ball, I think we're giving passes away too easy. People's touches have been off, and we haven't been able to get into that rhythm and have that control possession as much as we probably like. But I think that's probably a lot down to Spurs, if I'm being honest. I think they've been really good, been really aggressive on the press, and not really let us have the time on the ball that we probably would like to. But look, I think it's the second game in from the season. Spurs have scored with 2 goals, pretty much a long ball, and then in a mistake by Trafford. But yeah, there's another 45 minutes, so I'm still remaining positive.
Yeah, still hopeful. Our prediction's still intact as well, Michael.
It's
Brown.
on. I didn't want it to go necessarily this way. I said I expect 5 goals. So
we've had the
let's
2
look
already.
at the bright side. You know,
Yes.
that's where it is. We've seen some good quality, some good movement. We obviously know that it's a new team. It was obviously Nori going off was a little bit of a shock early on in the game. But defensively, we've got to do better. Obviously, the goals we've given away are poor. It was a very, very touch and go decision, wasn't it, for the first goal? But from there on, have we created enough? We've seen Erling there with a big chance at the end with that header that he could have directed. It just couldn't get over the top of it. Timing of the jump, maybe. We've seen Mamouche come off that line. He's had a couple of opportunities, but overall, just hasn't really been the level that we expect and what the manager will. He looked to react, he looked to change it. But ultimately, you can't make the mistakes that we have, unfortunately. You will be punished against a really hungry, quick, pressing. You see Thomas Frank straight away. As soon as there was a goal, as soon as they've had an action, as soon as the goal kicks next back on, he's off, saying, right, we're going to press, we'll leave 1v1 with Haaland. That's dangerous. I think that'll suit City, if you can get it to him. But it's in the balance. It's been fascinating tactically, watch how we're going to see teams go.
I wonder, and Steph, you kind of said it there just before we came on. I mean, the energy from the Tottenham Hotspur team, I mean, we talked about the distance that we covered against Wolves, but it feels here today, it just feels that their energy levels and their work rate has been a little bit above City, particularly with that press and how much Thomas Frank is driving them to when they've not got the ball beyond City at every moment they can get.
He's so active on the sideline. I think that's what you get from the best managers. And any Thomas Frank team that we've seen, especially Brentford, when you look at them, he wants them to be hungry for the ball. He wants them to be getting in them battles in midfield. I think they've won the midfield battle so far, and I think they've really tried to set the tempo, and we can play at that tempo, but ultimately we want to control it as much as we possibly can. So I've been impressed by Tottenham, but I feel as though City, just in terms of maybe our decision making, we're lacking a little bit. Is that because we've got new players coming in? You see Reinders driving towards the box. He just needs to really maybe slip Mamouche in to have a chance at goal. And we haven't created as much as we probably like. But for me, I think we've seen enough of what we've done in that first half to be hopeful for this second half.
Steph, do you know defensively, when we see that ball going down that far corner and it's flicked on, and as a defender, it's like a second, and John actually slips when he's trying to pass. It looks like he's stepping up, isn't it?
So
to try
hard.
And catch him, but the line's quick. But sometimes are we saying, well, is that the right time to do it? You have to be 100% sure if you're going to step forward.
You know how aggressive Richarlison is as well, and I think that's probably knowing your striker and obviously knowing what position you're in. And we see it, we've done it a few times really well today, but at the same time, I think when you slip, you can't really help that. But I think it's sometimes like, okay, what are the chances of him being offside or onside? And maybe just track the runner. Maybe in hindsight, it might have been Richarlison track the channel. But I think for me, I'm looking at Diaz against Kudos. I think Diaz should be winning that first header. I don't think he should be allowed to do the flick on, but I think then it's so hard for Rico Lewis to try and track Brennan Johnson because it's such a he's playing in midfield essentially. He's having to sprint back to his own box.
The time of the runs and the ball was quality, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Cross,
I mean,
and then obviously
that's a counter-attacking goal, which is
yeah,
perfect.
Great. I tell you, for me, the disappointment one was the second goal.
Yeah.
James Trafford's trying to play and get that. But the one for me, if it's on an angle slightly, that straight pass where it's inside the penalty box, the distances are so close. So if I'm a press, I'm behind that. I'm going, go on, play it on your right, play it on that side, because his safe side's towards the left-hand side.
Yeah.
Well, this is a better angle for me as well to try and play away out with my bounce pass, which is generally that bounce pass from the goalkeeper. But this side's giving me a chance.
Yes.
So straight away, and the distance close and right on top of it, Trafford, James, it gets a good recovery, good hand, and then obviously Polino's
so
right on top of it. But I don't think at 1-0. So it's the first goal, okay, you say, well, we're so touch and go and you get counted. But the second one, the timing of it, you sort of go, well, that's not the time to do it.
Nah, if anything,
that's probably for me.
Get rid.
If it's on an angle, it gives you a chance.
Yeah.
Or the distance a little bit further away.
I want to bring in Ali and Andy. They are, of course, our commentary team today. And Andy, would you echo what's kind of been felt here in the studio? Energy-wise, it feels like Spurs are kind of bringing more to the table. I feel second balls they've been first to, and they've just kind of suppressed City in what we wanted to do in that first half.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that they haven't worked harder than us. What I would say is I think there's a bit more structure to their press. Too many times Spencer's got out where Rico's arriving just too late. And I always say if you can't affect in playing the ball forward, then just stay in your position and just give a screen on Richarlison and allow them to come on to you. So there's a lot of things in there which were good. History shows us that we've done this many times, come back from this position, but this is a very, very strong, very, very disciplined, organised Tottenham team that are going to be difficult to break down. But, we get that first goal before 60 minutes, I think we're firmly in the game.
It's interesting, Ali, as well, what Steph was saying, and you've seen it, when we bring in new players, it takes time to bed in. Do you think we felt that a little bit today, of players still getting used to each other and maybe trying to get on that same wavelength a little bit?
Yeah, very much so. And of course, let's not forget that Oscar Bob hasn't been part of the first team setup for very long after 12 months out through injury. I know he's not a new player, but even he has to get into the rhythm that City are playing with. And let's face it, James Trafford as well. I mean, he'll not have played a pass like that when he was at Burnley. I would be very surprised if he did. But those are the demands of goalkeepers. So there is a little feel about that. I suspect that there was probably one or two people expecting Reinders to have a massive impact, and he still could. Cherki to have a massive impact, and he still could. They haven't quite had the impact on the game that we were hoping for. But I still think there was a lot of positives within there. That second goal, though, the timing of it gives City a problem. I always cast my mind back to the Happy Flowers Day when City were trailing 2-0 against Spurs, bounced back 1-4-2, and then Pep said afterwards that everybody was too comfortable. It was a Happy Flowers club, and that day City seemed out on their feet, turned it round and won 4-2. If they can get the game's third goal, you would not discount the likes of Cherki and Reinders then coming to the party, and they are very attacking players.
Lovely stuff. Ali, Andy, thank you so much. We'll be coming back to you to go join all the action for the second half. Hopefully, bringing us commentary on them 4 goals you've just mentioned there. Speaking of trying to get back into the game, then, Steph, we haven't really fashioned too many clear chances either. You mentioned the Haaland one just at the end, just mistimed the jump, but it does feel that we could maybe be doing a bit more going forward. What could that look like? Is it a change? Is it a bit quicker kind of in tempo with play, movement?
I think it's just that tidiness and possession. I think we've had enough of the ball. I think we've got Oscar Bob in really good positions. We've got Mamouche. I think Mamouche's touch has not been great in terms of his delivery, and into Haaland, I don't think Haaland's had that much service as much as we probably would like to, but I do think in terms of we can tidy up in certain areas, but without a doubt there'll be changes. There's no way that this is going to be the same team that lasts until 90 minutes. We've got the quality in the bench. Look at Phil Foden. Can he come on and spark something? Could Doku come on and get at Pedro Porro instead of Mamouche there? I mean, he's got options on the bench, and probably if we are still 2-0 in the next 10 minutes, I think you can see some changes coming onto the pitch.
What about from your side as well, Michael? What would you kind of like to see, or what do you even think is being said in the dressing room at this moment?
I think the point, you can look and you say, right, what did we need to do much better? But we're still finding our feet. It's the first game, as we know, here. But you can't concede.
No.
It changes everything. Then when you look and you're trying a desperate different plan, I don't think you can really go too far from what your initial build-up is. Just obviously, maybe the line might not want to go so high, or do we try in this in transition? We've made a mistake for the second goal, which has changed things. But I just feel like a bit of quality in the key areas. The final third, that better pass, the timing of runs. We've seen Mamouche get the opportunity early on when he flashed it across the face also. He had one where the goalkeeper's come out. Can we just try and flick that over?
Yes.
It's a good save, but can you look to caress and get into that area? But you know, the players who are just playing the first games.
Yeah.
You know, so it's going to take time. I think, not to be too disappointed, but I do feel come out, start well. As Ali said there, you know, you can't write this team off to go on and win it.
Yeah.
And Spurs have been under pressure recently. You get one. They know it's always that psychological thing that they've had. But yeah, it's an interesting game. But City have to find an answer. Look at the benches, the obvious one straight away.
Of course.
You know, and you go, right, we'll get a Ford and a Doku and we'll say, right, we'll go at them a bit quicker. Does Bernardo get a little bit of guile?
Yeah.
Rodri then allowed a one just sitting. And then everyone can go.
It's funny, I mean, I think that seems to be the kind of general thing, like you say, is you can see you're going to turn to the bench if needs be, but I know a lot of people that are watching on YouTube and are also commenting how key it is to get that first goal, and you'd like to think you get an early goal, they're saying within the first 10 minutes, as you've said there, it changes the complexion of the game. Is that something that will be mentioned in the changing room, Steph, or does that not even need to be mentioned? Is it more how we just go about you know, what is our plan for the second half rather than getting an early goal?
I think more about the plan, because we're very process-driven, this club, about how we get the goals and how we play and the style that we do. But I think all the lads are experienced enough to know that if they score in this next 10 minutes when they come out, this place is rocking, because you know you can get onto this Tottenham team that have the experience that yet under Thomas Frank. This is players that we've seen last season. Not much of the squad has changed in the sense of they experience being beaten and having that mentality to maybe go again. Have they got it in them as a team? They're a young team. So for me, I think that next 10-15 minutes, I think even the way that we approach it, are we able to get on top of first and second balls a bit better? Are we able to stop them transitions? And
the dressing room will be interesting though, won't it? Do you know, the manager will have let fly, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Even Colo, Pep Linders,
they'll all have
team.
their input. And that's when you've got to listen, you've got to find out, and your new players, how they react to these little bits of disappointment.
Yeah.
But you know, you need the leaders as well to get after a few. And
well, that's one thing though, Mike, that we were speaking about though before the game. One thing that the dressing room has got is leaders and players that have done there before. So I guess that's why it helps maybe you're going in with a calmer energy into this second half rather than frantic and be like balls to the wall, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah, well, it's the obvious one, isn't it? Stick to the plan.
Yeah.
Tweak it in a few little areas. I mean, Pep knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
And that team, and now with the new coaching staff, I think there's so many ideas that he'll be able to go with. But ultimately, you can't just throw it all out and say, right, we're going to completely change. He's going to want to control the possession. He's going to try and get to wider positions. Can we get our wide players? Can we get them runs in between the defenders?
Yeah.
That's normally the midfield runs that we're good at.
Yes.
That's the difference in between full-backs, centre-back. So a few more of those, make the pitch a little bit bigger in the midfield areas. Wide positions, can we get 1v1?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, we can just see the Spurs players have taken to the pitch behind us. So come join myself, Steph and Michael at full time. And let's hope we are getting those goals that we've just spoke about there. So far, can't really spy any change. I'm sure if a new player comes out stripped up, Alistair Mann will bring you what that change could potentially be. Anyway, thank you for joining us. It is currently Tottenham Hotspur 2, Manchester City 0.
Thank you, Kel. Well, City, of course, had to make a change earlier in the piece when they brought on Ake for the injured Ait Nouri. There's no indication of a substitution for City at the moment. And Spurs have got the same 11 that they began with, which doesn't surprise us either. But there is a reality that City-Spurs games are very unpredictable. The last 4 Premier League meetings between City and Spurs here, there have been 21 goals scored, which tells you that it is a fixture that's laden with goals. I mentioned that 4-2 win against Spurs back in the 22-23 treble winning season. We've had a 3-3 draw We've had a 3-2 Spurs win. So there is a history of goals. And City are going to have to score at least 2 more this afternoon, or they'll be beginning their Etihad Stadium campaign with defeat. Alongside me, the former City captain Andy Morrison, who's always a very positive man. What are you positive about?
Well, we managed to get to the final third, and I thought we made 2 or 3 probably poor decisions which didn't then create the opportunity to get a shot off on goal. I thought that was very easy to be able to stretch them and get one-on-ones in wide areas, especially with Marmoush, and then Reinders making them runs forward, because there's nobody in the team that's actually tracking them runs from Reinders. So possibilities, chance at the end for Haaland.